Hello guys, welcome back to WestCoast Bushcraft. I'm Cameron.
I'm Max.
And today we are going to be showing you just tree ID from the West Coast and Vancouver Island. Uses for the trees and just the names, how to identify them. So stay tuned. Okay, so we're going to start here at the cedar tree. Now, these are very common on the West Coast and Vancouver Island. They are, you can see the bark here, just rips right off. And what's great about this is you can take off this smaller strands, rub it up in your hands, and it'll make a really fibrous tinder bundle. And I actually used some cedar on our video on how to make a fire. And it's the natives of this part, Coast Salish, Snanamo, all that kind of all those bands of natives use this tree, and they called it this tree of life because they made their houses out of this. They made canoes by digging them out with adze tools. They would strip this, not the outer bark, but there's inner bark, that they would make clothing out of, hats, everything, baskets. They could weave the basket so tight they could hold water. So it's a really useful tree. And what we like about this one is up here, it's completely covered, just the canopy. And it's all very dry. You can see just how dry that is. All of it's very dry. So this is usually where we come to for a fire, and our shelter is just down there, if you can see it, to build our fires and stuff. So that's a cedar tree, and those are the uses for it. And you can also take the branches, cut them up into spits, shave off the bark, dip them in water, and that works as cordage. And you can do that with the roots as well on the cedar saplings. So that's a use for the cedar tree. Now we're gonna go on to probably the Douglas fir.
So this right here, guys, behind me is the Douglas fir tree. It's probably the most common tree on Vancouver Island. They're everywhere, really. But there's quite a few uses, not as many as the cedar. You can make tea out of their needles, and you can make sort of like platters for eating with the bark, because you can see it'll probably break off. It's like kind of that type of
You usually get a bigger piece.
Yeah, bigger piece, but it's quite tough. And like most evergreen type trees, you can make pitch with the sap. And yeah.
How do you identify it?
Well, the bark right here, they've got huge furrows in the bark. And that's kind of a really big distinguishing feature of the tree. So yeah, that's the Douglas fir.
Okay, so beside me here, this is the alder tree. Now, this one it looks very similar to a birch, except it's the same coloration, except the bark doesn't peel off, and the bark has different forms.
A little bit darker than birch.
Yeah, a little bit. And the bark isn't constantly peeling off. Uses for this tree is you can, very similar to pine trees, you can shave the outer bark off and the inner bark. What's it called, Max?
Cambium.
Cambium. Thank you. The cambium you can eat, and that's very similar to pine trees, which we will look at later. You can fry it up, or you can just eat it raw. And I think pine tree cambium tastes better, but if you're in a survival situation, it's a good tree.
It could save your life.
Yeah. And except it is a pretty punky wood, don't you think?
And it's really hard to split.
It is. It splits off to the side. So there's the alder tree for you. Next is going to be a special tree. So
this right here is the yew tree. We can't really find those in the woods over there, but it's a really special tree. They grow super slowly, like that much, like a couple millimeters each year. And the bark, I got a sample right here.
It's probably like 60, 70 years old right now.
Yeah, and the grain is almost invisible. And you can see the bark, it's really cool looking bark.
It's hard as well.
The needles, let's grab a little sample here.
Look very similar to Douglas fir.
Yeah, really quite pointy. I believe they grow berries at some point. I'm not sure, but I think they do. And they have medicinal values.
Yes, and they are the yew. It's kind of a strange name.
Yeah, and there's quite a few types of yew.
And excuse us that we ventured into civilization.
Yeah, we're on Dell, the farmer's property.
Farmer's property. Farmer's property! Ah! Okay, so this is so awesome. This is just the down tree that we found, and it has a little birdie's nest. Most likely a robin's nest, and it's obviously abandoned. You can see.
Blown down.
Yeah. Oh boy, that is a lot of bugs. Anyways, poor bird. Yeah, got blown down in some storm. Anyways, it's a really cool find.
Oh, look, there's mud caked on the inside. Pretty cool.
Yeah, pretty cool what nature can do. Pretty cool. And I believe it's on an alder. Is this an alder?
No.
No, it isn't.
Or fir.
Fir. Ah, we don't know.
Right here's the pine tree. So
shut up, Dilly!
the pine tree is very well known. Most people know pine, and it's so very resinous wood.
One of the most common uses for it is pine pitch.
Yep. The branches burn fairly well. It's fairly good carving wood also. And
you could see some pine pitch coming out here and above, right up there.
Yeah. I'll show some to you guys.
Jesus.
Maybe that kind of splintered off. Fairly dry actually, so it's kind of hard.
Try it out with your eyes.
Yeah. Oh, you can kind of. Anyways, yeah.
Yeah.
Never mind.
You get the point.
So yeah, that's a pine tree.
Oh, look it up there. Up in those trees.
Oh,
That is a big chunky up it. Here, I'll try and climb. Hold my baby bird feather. Did you chuck it away?
Maybe. Cam. He's filming.
Okay, so I just climbed up the tree and got this big chunk of pine pitch. And you can see in there, you just boil this up, get some dried rabbit poo or deer poo or horse poo, go put that in there, as well as some charcoal, and that makes a primitive glue, like a super glue. It's super awesome. I tried to make it once, but it blew into flames.
At my place, which is not good.
Anyways, yeah, so that's pine pitch, and this tree doesn't have it. It's a dead pine. Probably at the top there is some, except you can use it for, yeah, you can see up there, the needles, and those are really nice for pine needle tea. It has more vitamin C in it than orange juice.
And also, fun fact for you, pine trees make really awesome fat wood, which burns like crazy.
Yes, if you find the dead one.
Yeah,
Then.
this one's dying.
Anyways, so that's the pine tree. Next is we do not know.
It feels like dog poo.
Oh boy, it's getting cold.
We're gonna have to wash our feet after this, boy.
Anyways, Mooney. So, the arbutus tree.
Also called the Madrone tree in the U.S.
Anyways, this tree, you can identify it closer to the bottom. It usually has more bark, and you can identify it's kind of like a Douglas fir, except with much smaller little bits. And further up, I don't know if you can see it from here, except there it is red in most spots, and when it is trimmed off, it is red. There's an arbutus behind us that is red.
And also, so these trees are like they have leaves instead of needles, but they're not deciduous. They keep their leaves all year round, and yeah, they have a disease in the roots. I think it's a fungi that grows in there, and it poisons the tree basically. And
So-
they're dying all over.
And one, you shouldn't cut bowls out of them, and two, you shouldn't cut bowls out of them. One, because this is an incredibly hard wood. You would need a lathe and an incredibly sharp chisel.
Cut one of these down, you need like a big chainsaw or a feller buncher.
Anyways, yeah, exactly. And the other reason you shouldn't carve it is because if you eat out it, you might get the disease. So, that is the Arbutus. And does that include our video?
No, one more tree.
One more tree.
What we have behind us is the maple tree, Canada's famous tree.
Yes, the maple leaf is on our flag. Okay, so, sorry we can't get too close to the tree. There is a whole patch of poison ivy. Max and me earlier today, we made poison ivy soup, which
Not poison ivy, stinging nettle, bud.
Stinging nettle, sorry. All stinging nettle there. Anyways, we made stinging nettle soup and it did not taste good. And we got stung. So, we do not want to step in that.
Yeah, this is Canada's famous tree, guys. This is big leaf maple.
We don't have sugar maple. Well, we do not on the West Coast.
But yeah, nice big tree here, like big specimen here. So it's a nice tree.
There is a, yeah, you identify this by obviously the big leaves on our maple, on the Canadian flag.
Yeah, and a lot of them are, big leaf maple anyway, are bigger than your whole head.
Yeah.
Huge.
It's really fun.
Totally huge.
It's really fun when they fall. You like can try and find the biggest leaf, and it's just an awesome tree, and it represents our country.
And they're good for tree houses.
Yes.
So now we're just gonna talk about
Ticks.
Ticks. So yeah, there's a new species of tick on the island here.
Lyme disease.
Yeah, they spread Lyme disease, so it's dangerous, guys. You could get paralyzed. Ray Mears got Lyme disease, guys.
He did?
Yeah.
Oh.
And that's why he got all chunky. And but no, yeah, so they crawl into your neck, as you know, and then they can give you Lyme disease. So this new breed of tick spreads by pets and rabbits and deer. So those are everywhere. They're in the forest and they're in the tall grass and the broom around here. And yeah.
Always bring a straw and fishing line, because you can put the straw on the tick and then you can get the fishing line under it and pull it out. Except never do that if your kids. Wait for your parents to do that, because if you do it incorrectly, if you squeeze them too hard, they will puke pretty much into you.